Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's getting ready for the big weekend. It's going to be a big, cold weekend here, I think. I'm not looking forward to winter coming on at all. In fact, a lot of places are already getting snow. In fact, we've seen some pretty bad accidents, as a result of the snowfall. So that can take its time getting here. I'm not in any hurry for it at all. Anyway, this morning, what I would like to do is I would like to share an article from Black Belt magazine, and I think it's a really good article. It's in a section for self-defense techniques for women. All right, and just because it says that doesn't mean it's not for men too, because these principles can apply to anybody who's a potential victim. All right, so let me share this with you this morning, and hopefully you'll find it helpful. It does have some very good tips in there that maybe some of you haven't thought of before. All right, it starts out. It says, too many women enroll in a self-defense class after they've been assaulted. When they recount the incident, they often say the same thing. I had this bad feeling, but I told myself not to be paranoid. Or, I knew I shouldn't have gone, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't safe. That's the bottom line. Many women have been conditioned to ignore the little voice that tells them trouble is coming. Your instinct is the best detector of danger. The next time you hear that little voice, listen to what it's saying. All right, and right there, let me just stop and say, depending on where you live, that there's different kinds of self-defense. You can learn some, and also too, a lot of times, I know that we used to teach a women's class at a police department that I used to work at. We would hold, every so often, a women's self-defense class, and we'd have a pretty good crowd there coming. So if, check with your police department. And in fact, if they don't have one, call them and ask them if they would put on one. Because they generally have somebody who's, qualified to, teach some techniques, because a lot of people take martial arts. And if you can take a martial arts, go to a martial arts school and take, some basic classes. Maybe take a couple of things, like karate, how to, do strikes. I think that one of the best things that a person can take is jiu-jitsu, because a lot of times, whether it's in a fight or an attack, you end up on the ground. And you end up on the ground and you know some jiu-jitsu techniques, you can incapacitate the attacker. No matter how small you are, it doesn't really matter. If you get good at it, you can incapacitate somebody who's attacking you. All right, so let's get into this. The first point is avoid if possible. Don't make yourself an accessible target. The outcome of a battle is often determined before the first blow is struck. When you have the opportunity to escape from a situation before it turns bad, take it. So in other words, if you're a fast runner, somebody comes up and you're a fast runner, take off, take off, just take off and start running, and hopefully the guy's not in shape. That's why it's good for you to be in shape, right? Where you can have good wind and outrun the dude, and watch him huff and puff and then drop as you keep on trucking. It says, if an approaching person gives you the creeps, walk to the other side of the street. If an elevator door opens and the guy standing inside makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, wait for the next elevator. Or pick a different elevator if there's multiple ones in there. Those actions aren't cowardly. Rather, they're a smart way to eliminate danger. All right, next point is present yourself with confidence. Be aware of the message your body sends to those around you. Like animals, human predators target those they consider the weakest or most vulnerable. Attackers search for women who appear frightened, confused, or distracted. They look for women who walk with their head down and their hands stuffed in their pockets, or perhaps one who's overburdened with packages or distracted by children. Remember that attackers do not want to bait a fight. They want an easy mark. By walking with confidence and awareness, looking around and keeping your head up and shoulders back, you'll dramatically reduce the likelihood of becoming a target in the first place. It's kind of like I had this guy talking about presenting yourself with confidence. I had this guy that was a friend of mine who he was a little bit nuts. He was a little bit crazy. He was a good guy, but he was like just crazy. And he was in, I don't remember which city he was in, but he was walking along and this guy came up to him and pulled a gun on him. And asked him to, forgot to turn my phone off again. One of these days I'll actually remember to do that. So he came up to him and basically said, "Give me your money," and pointed a gun in his face. And I just stood there and laughed at him. He goes, "Go ahead and shoot. Go ahead. Go ahead. Come on. Go ahead. You got the balls to shoot me? Go ahead." The guy took off running. He's just bluffing. So, but that's right there. I mean, you don't want to go to that extreme, but if you present yourself, even if you're not confident, act like you are. All right, fake it till you make it. You know what I'm saying? Walk with your head up, your shoulders back. Watch your posture, because they look for the weak ones. You see some person walking along with their head down and it looks weak. That is who they're going to go after. All right? The next point is set strong verbal boundaries. Good verbal skills are an effective self-defense tool, one you're likely to use more frequently and successfully than any physical technique. When a predator engages you in conversation, he's actually interviewing you to see if you'll make a good victim. An experienced attacker is practiced at using his words to freeze you in fear, thus reducing the chance that you'll try to defend yourself. Although an aggressive verbal confrontation can be terrifying, you have to be strong enough to show the attacker he's picked the wrong victim. If you stand tall, remain calm, and respond confidently and assertively, you'll probably fail his interview. The power of your voice alone can cause him to seek an easier target. Okay, and let me also say, too, that I know when people try to, bully you or do anything like that, if you just look at them right in the eyes and smile and even maybe chuckle a little bit, you'd be surprised how that diffuses them. I'm not saying it always works, but I know it's worked for me, where somebody's coming, and I just look at them, shake my head, and laugh. And they're like, and they start backing down, because it's like, oh man, this dude, if he's acting like that, he must be somebody you don't want to mess with. Even if you're not, that's going to be the automatic reaction in their brain, right? All right, next point. Maintain a non-confrontational stance. In a self-defense situation, one of your secret weapons is the element of surprise. Most predators feel confident that you won't defend yourself, and you should capitalize on that misconception. If you assume a martial arts stance, it immediately tells the attacker you know how to fight. In response, he's likely to be more aggressive. Instead, use a confident, relaxed stance in which your hips and shoulders are forward, your arms are bent, and your hands are up and open. This conciliatory posture may mislead the attacker into thinking you're willing to comply. If it becomes necessary for you to strike, he probably won't be prepared for it. All right, and this next one is kind of like the first one as far as avoiding them, but it's keep a safe distance. Everyone has a comfort zone or personal space. When an aggressor enters that zone, you're uncomfortable because you know you'd need that space if you had to fight back. When you're in an adrenalized state, you need a quarter of a second to react to an assault. This reactionary gap should be anticipated when you think about your comfort zone. You should try to maintain approximately 1 to 1.5 arm lengths between yourself and the aggressor. If he starts closing in, you need to use verbal boundaries. If he still doesn't back off, it's time to get physical. All right? It's like that old song. Let's get physical, bam. All right. All right, the best self-defense strategies and techniques work equally well for men and women. But let's face it, women really need them because they're assaulted more often than men. Statistics indicate that 1 in 3 women will be the victim of some type of violent attack in her lifetime. That's pretty bad. 1 in 3? Wow. Women also endure more incidents of verbal and sexual harassment. Although most women's self-defense courses focus on skills for quickly and efficiently destroying an attacker, self-defense training also should include methods for preventing a confrontation from turning physical in the first place. Learning how to steer away from a threat may not sound as exciting as ripping out an attacker's heart. But they say in every beginner's class, evading an attack is almost superior to blocking an attack. Yeah, if you can take off and run, if you can outrun the dude, or if you can de-escalate it, somehow, that's a heck of a lot better than getting in a physical, All right, and they talk about some self-defense techniques. It says, if you're an experienced martial artist, the physical techniques may appear familiar or even surprisingly basic, but that's fine. They're intended to be simple because in an assault, you'll experience fear and panic along with a natural adrenaline rush. Despite the superhuman effects adrenaline can produce, we've all heard stories about the grandmother who lifted a car off her trapped grandchild. It doesn't always work in your favor. You may experience tunnel vision, auditory exclusion, and loss of fine motor skills. Consequently, it will be hard to see and hear, and complex martial arts techniques may be impossible to perform. If you stick with proven strategies and simple gross motor movement techniques such as these described here, your chances of surviving will increase drastically. All right, so here are the strategies. Trust your instincts. Too many women enroll in a self-defense class. Okay, so, you know what I did? I accidentally copied and pasted everything twice. Oh, I think I need more coffee. Oh, say. All right, here is actually, though, a couple of them. A couple of different ones that I don't remember if we went over or not. But it's talking about using the element of surprise. Yeah, you don't assume. I think I might have gone over that. All right, here we go. Here we go. I don't know why I copied and pasted it twice. Probably because I'm not hardly awake yet. All right, so here's what it says. One of the main effects of an adrenaline release is the loss of fine motor skills. This means simple gestures such as unlacing your fingers or pulling your hands out of your pockets can become much more challenging. And the odds of your executing beautiful joint lock or high kick rapidly dwindle, unless you're Bruce Lee. All right, no matter which martial art you practice, learn techniques that are basic and stick with them in a self-defense scenario. I recommend the following. Heel palm strike. Hitting with an open hand reduces the chance that you'll injure your hand and enables you to more easily attack from a non-confrontational stance in which you're holding your hands up and open while you set verbal boundaries. Then, if the attacker steps into your comfort zone, bang, he gets it right in the face. All right, and let me suggest this also. If you use a heel palm strike, okay, there's this myth that so many people believe that it's total BS, that you do a palm strike into your nose and ram their nose up into their brain. Sorry, that's all soft cartilage. It ain't going anywhere. Now, you can break their nose, but the best place to hit them with a palm strike is just under the chin. If you can come up like an uppercut and hit them with a palm strike at the chin, more often than not, it really jars everything and puts them on the ground. You know, you may give them a bloody nose. I mean, if that's, you swing and that's all you can hit, hey, whatever. Anything's better than nothing, right? But if you can, hit them right under the chin, like I say, most of the time, especially if you do it hard, and learn how to strike where you quickly twitch your hips. Let the power come from your hips, just like if you ever played softball or baseball, where you're generating that power from your hips to get the power. Right, that's the best one. Okay, if you can hit them right under the chin, if nothing else, it'll startle them and daze them long enough for you to take off and get away while he's trying to recover, get his senses back. You can be several blocks down the street and around the corner, he'll never find you. All right, next one is eye strike, and this is one that I know when I took martial arts that this is one of the things that the block and then the four fingers headed right toward the eye jab. We used to call it eye jab. It says the eye strike can be used in a standing or prone position. Often simply driving your fingers toward your assailant's eyes will cause him to recoil. Even if you don't make contact, it creates space to set up a more devastating blow. Okay, next one, knee strike. This technique is recommended over any type of standing kick because it's easier to use and can be delivered while you stay centered and close to the ground, which is crucial when you're adrenalized. A knee to the groin can end a fight immediately. If you do a kick, all right, let's say that he was to grab you and you got his arms. All right, one of the best things that you can do, and this comes from Wing Chun, which is Kung Fu, and they target like the knees and the legs. Of course, Thai boxing, goes after the legs, but the best thing you can do is, like, if somebody come up and grab you, you just kind of throw yourself back a little bit to give yourself a little space, and then go right at his knee with your foot. Boom, as hard as you can kick. Trust me, he ain't going to feel like doing anything after you bust his knee. All right, next point. Don't panic if you're knocked down. More often than not, women end up on the ground when they're assaulted. The good news is that most assailants are not skilled ground fighters. They're bullies who are used to knocking women down and forcing them to comply. Remember that the heel palm strike and eye strike work well on the ground. It's also a good idea to have a few kicks that work there as well. Okay, and like I said, if you can at all take a jiu-jitsu class and learn grappling techniques, because, like I say, the majority of fights, people end up on the ground. And if you're a good ground grappler, you can put him out. Seriously. You can put a sleeper hold on him with your legs, and put him out, and then get up and just walk away. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is just where it says follow through. The fight isn't over until the threat no longer exists. Therefore, you must be 110% committed to the battle, just like a pro athlete. I give 110%. If you fight back and then pause, you give up the initial advantage you gained from using the element of surprise. Once your opponent knows you can fight, it becomes more difficult for you to prevail. To survive, you must continue your barrage until it's safe to stop striking and escape. All right, kicking, hitting, continually until you're free, or until he's sitting there or laying there going, all right. So I hope that this has been beneficial for you today. I thought it was a very good article. Again, I would really check and see, and even if you take martial arts, you go to a martial arts school, you don't have to take the whole course, going from white belt to black belt or whatever. You can just, call the school or visit it and tell them, this is what I want. I want just a few techniques, a few grappling techniques, a few striking techniques if I ever get attacked. And they can show you, that way you don't have to spend a ton of money every month to take all their classes, right? You just take what you need, and and there are a lot of places to work with you too. And like I said, again, call your local police department, sheriff's office, state police, whoever, and see if they offer classes. See if they offer women's self-defense classes, or even if it's a co-ed self-defense classes. That's cool too, So I'd check it out if I were you, because you never know when you're going to need to defend yourself. All right. Okay, folks, have a good Friday. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next time.